Canto 14. Who do you think that is? He roams our hill before death gives him wings, and he's left free to shut his eyes or open them at will. I don't know, but I know he's not alone. Ask him, you're nearer, but put in a way you won't offend him. Take a careful tone. Thus on my right and leaning head to head, two of those spirits were discussing me. Then they turned up their faces, and one said, O soul that, though locked fast within the flesh, still makes its way towards heaven's blessedness and charity, give comfort to our wish. Tell us your name and city, for your climb fills us with awe at such a gift of grace as never has been set up to this time. And in Falterona lies the source of a brook that grows and winds through Tuscany, till 100 miles will not contain its course. From its banks I bring this flesh. As for my name, to tell you who I am would serve no purpose. I have as yet won very little fame. And the first spirit, if I rightly weigh your words upon the balance of my mind, it is the Arno you intend to say. And the other to him, why is he so careful to avoid the river's name? He speaks as men do when they refer to things too foul or fearful. To which the shade he had addressed replied, That I don't know, but it would be a mercy if even the name of such a valley died. From its source high in the great range that outsoars almost all others, from whose chain Pelorus was cut away, to the point where it restores in endless soft surrender what the sun draws from the deep to fall again as rain, that every rill and river may flow on. Men run from virtue as if from a foe or poisonous snake. Either the land is cursed or long corrupted custom drives them so. And curse or custom so transform all men who live there in that miserable valley, one would believe they fed in Circe's pen. It sets its first weak course among sour swine, indecent beasts more fit to grub and grunt for acorns than to sit to bread and wine. It finds next, as it flows down and fills out, a pack of curs, their snarl worse than their bite, and in contempt it turns aside its snout. Down it flows. And as the dogs grow fewer, the wolves grow thicker on the widening banks of that accursed and godforsaken sewer. It drops through darkened gorges then to find the foxes in their lairs, so full of fraud they fear no trap set by a mortal mind. Nor will I, though this man hear what I say, hold back the prophecy revealed to me, for well may he recall it on his way. I see your grandson riding to the chase. He hunts the wolves that prowl by the fierce river. He has become the terror of that place. He sells their living flesh, then shame on shame, the old beast slaughters them himself for sport. Many will die, and with them his good name. He comes from that sad wood covered with gore and leaves it in such ruin. 1,000 years will not serve to restock its groves once more. Just as a man to whom bad chance announces a dreadful ill distorts his face in grief, no matter what quarter the hurt pounces, just so that shade who had half turned his head better to listen showed his shock and pain when he had registered what the other said. So moved by one's words and the other's face, I long to know their names. I asked them, therefore, phrasing my plea with prayers to win their grace. At which the spokesman of the two replied, You beg me of my good grace that I grant you what I have asked of you and been denied. But God has willed his favor to shine forth so greatly in you I cannot be meager. Guido del Duca was my name on earth. The fires of envy raged so in my blood that I turned livid if I chanced to see another man rejoice in his own good. This seed I sowed, this sad straw I reap here. O humankind, why do you set your hearts on what is forbidden you to share? This is Rainier, the honor and the pride of the house of the Koboli, of which no one inherited his merit when he died. Nor in that war-torn land whose boundary lines the sea and the Reno draw to the east and west and north and south, the Po and the Apennines. In his, the only house that seems to be bred bare of those accomplishments and merits which are the good and truth of chivalry. For the land has lost the good of hoe and plow, and poisonous thorns so choke it that long years of cultivation would scarce clear it now. Where is the Minardi? Have you lost the seat of Lizio, Traversaro di Carpina? O Romagnols, changed to a bastard breed. When will Fabro evermore take root in all Bologna or in Faenza or Afosco? Who was his little plant's most noble shoot? When will Fabro evermore take root in all Bologna or in Faenza? Afosco, who has his little plant's most noble shoot? O Tuscan, can I speak without a tear of Ugolino d'Azzo and Guido da Prata, who shared our time on earth, and with them there Federico di Tignoso and his train. The house of the Traversari and the Anastagi, both airless now, or dry-eyed, think again of knights and ladies of the court and field that bonded us in love and courtesy, where now all hearts are savagely self-sealed. O Bretonoro, why do you delay? Your lords and many more have fled your guilt, and why, like them, will you not melt away? Bagnacaval does well to have no heirs, and Castro Caro badly and Conio worse, in bothering to breed such counts as theirs. The Pagani will do well enough, all told, when once their fiend is gone, but not so well their name will ever again shine as pure gold. O Ugolin de Fantolini, your name remains secure, since you have none to bear it, and in degeneracy bring it to shame. But leave me, Tuscan, I am more inclined to spell my grief in tears now than in words, for speaking thus has wrung my heart and mind. We knew those dear souls heard us go away, their silence therefore served as our assurance that leaving them we had not gone astray. We had scarce left those spirits to their prayer when suddenly a voice that ripped like lightning struck at us with a cry that split the air. All men are my destroyers. It rolled past, as thunder rolls away into the sky if the cloud bursts to rain in the first blast. Our ears were scarcely settled from that burst when lo, the second broke with such a crash it seemed the following thunder of the first. I am Aglaros, who was turned to stone, whereat to cower in Virgil's arms I took a step to my right instead of going on. The air had fallen still on every hand when Virgil said, that was the iron bit that ought to hold men hard to God's command, but still you gulp the hell-bait hook and all. And the old adversary reels you in. Small good to you is either curb or call. The heavens cry to you, and all around your stubborn souls wheel their eternal glory, and yet you keep your eyes fixed on the ground. And for each turning from the joys of love, the all-discerning flails you from above. Canto 15. Of that bright sphere that, like a child at play, skips endlessly as lies between the third hour's end in the first light of day. Remained yet of the sun's course toward the night. Thus it was vespers there upon the mountain, and midnight here in Italy where I write. The sun's late rays struck us full in the face, for in our circling course around the mountain, we now were heading toward his resting place. Suddenly then I felt my brow weighed down by a much greater splendor than the first. I was left dazzled by some cause unknown, and raised my hands and joined them in the air, above my brows making a sunshade of them, which so to speak blunted the piercing glare. When a ray strikes glass or water, its reflection leaps upward from the surface once again at the same angle but opposite direction from which it strikes, and in an equal space spreads equally from a plumb line to midpoint, as trial and theory show to be the case. Just so it seemed to me reflected light struck me from up ahead so dazzlingly I had to shut my eyes to spare my sight. Dear Father, what is that great blaze ahead from which I cannot shade my eyes enough and which is still approaching us? I said. Do not be astonished, answered my sweet friend, if those of the heavenly family still blind you. He has been sent to bid us to ascend. Soon now, such sights will not aggrieve your sense, but fill you with a joy as great as any nature has fitted you to experience. We stand before the blessed angel now. With joyous voice he cries, Enter. The stair is far less steep than were the two below. We had gone past him and were climbing on, when blessed are the merciful hymned out behind us, and rejoice, you who have won. My guide and I were going up the stair, we two alone, and I thinking to profit from his wise words, as we were climbing there, questioned him thus. What deep intent lay hidden in what the spirit from Romania said? He spoke of sharing and said it was forbidden. And he knows the sad cost of his own besetting sin. Small wonder he reviles it in hope that you may have less to atone. It is because you focus on the prize of worldly goods, which every sharing lessens, that envy pumps the bellows for your sighs. But if in true love for the highest sphere your longing were turned upward, then your hearts would never be consumed by such a fear. For the more there are there who say ours, not mine, by that much is each richer, and the brighter within that cloister burns the love divine. I am left hungrier being thus fed, and my mind is more endowed being thus answered, than if I had not asked at all. I said, How can each one of many who divide a single good have more of it so shared than if a few had kept it? He replied, Because within the habit of mankind you set your whole intent on earthly things. The true light falls as darkness on your mind. The infinite and the inexpressible grace, which is heaven in heaven, gives itself to love as a sunbeam gives itself to a bright surface. As much light as it finds there it bestows. Thus as the blaze of love is spread more widely, the greater the eternal glory grows. As mirror reflects mirror, so above, the more there are who join their souls, the more love learns perfection and the more they love. And if this answer does not yet appease your hunger, you will soon see Beatrice, and this and every wish shall find surcease. Only strive hard, that soon no trace may show of the 5 scars, which true contrition heals, as the first to have faded from your brow. I was about to say I am satisfied when suddenly we came to the next round, and my eyes' avidity left me tongue tied. Here, suddenly in an ecstatic trance, I find myself caught up into a vision. I see a crowded temple, and in the entrance, a lady by herself, her eyes aglow with the sweet grace of a mother, saying gently, my son, why do you treat us so? Your father and I were seeking you in tears. So saying, she falls silent, and as quickly as it first came, the vision disappears. Another lady now appears, her cheeks bathed in those waters that are born of grief when grief is born of anger. Now she speaks. O Pisistratus, if you are true Lord of the city for whose name the gods debated and whence all learning shone forth afterward, avenge yourself on the presumptuous one who dared embrace our daughter, and her master, sweetly forbearing in a placid tone, and smiling gently at her, answered thus: what shall we do to those that wish us harm if we take vengeance upon those that love us? Then there appears a wild and murderous spill of people hate incensed, stoning a boy, and roaring to each other's wrath, kill, kill. I see the boy sink to the ground, his death already heavy on him, but his eyes like gates of heaven open through such wrath. And even in his last extremity, he prays God to forgive his murderers, turning to him the look that unlocks pity. When finally my soul could see and feel things which were true outside it, I understood my not false errors had been dreams, though real. My guide, who watched me as I moved along like one just wakened and still sleep stunned, said, you barely seem to keep your feet, what's wrong? You've stumbled on now for a good half league, with eyes half shut and legs too wide, like one groggy with wine or dropping with fatigue. Oh, my sweet father, if you wish to know, listen, and I shall tell you what I saw, I answered, when my legs were stricken so. Were you to wear 100 masks, he said, to hide your face, it would lie open to me so that your slightest thought might yet be read. These visions warn your soul, on no account, still to refuse the water of that peace which flows to man from the eternal fount. I did not ask what's wrong, as a man might who sees with eyes alone, and when the body is lying senseless has no other sight, but rather to put strength into your stride, for so must laggards be spurred on to use their reawakening senses as a guide. Through the last vesper hour we traveled on, looking ahead as far as I could see, against the level rays of the late sun. And there ahead of us against the light we saw come billowing in our direction by slow degrees a smoke as black as night. Nor was there refuge from it anywhere. It took our sight from us in the pure air. Canto 16. No gloom of hell, nor of a night allowed, no planet under its impoverished sky, the deepest dark that may be drawn by cloud, ever drew such a veil across my face, nor one whose texture rasped my senses so as did the smoke that wrapped us in that place. The sting was more than open eyes could stand. My wise and faithful guide drew me near, therefore, and let me grasp his shoulder with my hand. Just as a blind man, lest he lose his road or tumble headlong and be hurt or killed, walks at his guide's back when he goes abroad. So moved I through that foul and acrid air, led by my sweet friend's voice, which kept repeating, take care, do not let go of me, take care. And I heard other voices, they seemed to pray for peace and pardon to the Lamb of God, which of its mercy takes our sins away. They offered up 3 prayers, and every one began with Agnus Dei, and each word and measure rose in perfect unison. Master, do I hear spirits on this path? I said, and he to me, you do indeed, and they are loosening the knot of wrath. And who are you then? that you cleave our smoke, yet speak of us as if you still kept time by calends. Without warning, someone spoke these words to me, at which my Lord and God said, answer and inquire respectfully if one may find a way up on this side. And I, O spirit growing pure and free to go once more in beauty to your Maker, you will hear wonders if you follow me. As far as is permitted me, he said, I will. And if the smoke divide our eyes, our ears shall serve to join us in their stead. So I began. I make my way above, still in these swathings death dissolves. I came here through the infernal grief, now since God's love encloses me in grace so bounteous that he permits me to behold his court by means wholly unknown to modern use. Pray tell me who you were before you died, and if I go the right way to the path that leads above. Your words shall be our guide. I was a Lombard, Marco was my name. I knew the ways of the world and loved that good at which the bows of men no longer aim. The bows of men no longer aim. I knew the ways of the world and loved that good at which the bows of men no longer aim. You are headed the right way to reach the stair that leads above, he added. And I pray you to pray for me when you have mounted there. And I, on my faith I vow it, but a doubt has formed within me, and has swelled so large I shall explode unless I speak it out. It was a simple doubt at first, but now it doubles and grows sure as I compare your words with what was said to me below. The world, as you have said, is truly bare of every trace of good, swollen with evil by evil overshadowed everywhere. But wherein lies the fault, I beg to know, that I may see the truth, and so teach others. Some see it in the stars, some here below. A deep sigh wrung by grief, almost a moan escaped as a long ah. Then he said, brother, the world is blind, and you are its true sun. Mankind sees in the heavens alone the source of all things, good and evil, as if by law they shaped all mortal actions in their course. If that were truly so, then all free will would be destroyed, and there would be no justice in giving bliss for virtue, pain for evil. The spheres do start your impulses along. I do not say all, but suppose I did, the light of reason still tells right from wrong, and free will also, which though it be strained in the first battles with the heavens, still can conquer all if it is well sustained. You are free subjects of a more immense nature and power which grants you intellect to free you from the heavens' influence. If therefore men today turn from God's laws, the fault is in yourselves to seek and find, and I shall truly explicate the cause. From the hand of God, whose love shines like a ray upon it, even before birth, comes forth the simple soul, which, like a child at play, cries, laughs, and ignorant of every measure but the glad impulse of its joyous maker, turns eagerly to all that gives it pleasure. It tastes small pleasures first, to these it clings, deceived, and seeks no others unless someone curb it or guide its love to higher things. Men therefore need restraint by law, and need a monarch over them who sees at least the towers of the true city. Laws indeed there are, but who puts nations to their proof? No one. The shepherd who now leads mankind can chew the cud, but lacks the cloven hoof. The people then, seeing their God devour those worldly things to which their hunger turns, graze where he grazes and ask nothing more. The bad state of the modern world is due, as you may see, then to bad leadership and not to natural corruption in you. Rome used to shine in two suns when her rod made the world good, and each showed her its way, to the ordered world and one to God. Now one declining sun puts out the other. The sword and crook are one, and only evil can follow from them when they are together. For neither fears the other being one. Look closely at the ear. If you still if still you doubt me, for by the seed it bears is the plant known. Honor and courtesy once made their home in the land the Po and the Adige water. Till Frederick came to loggerheads with Rome. Now any man who has good cause to fear the sound of truth or honest company may cross it safely. He will find none there. True, 3 old men are left in whom the past reproves the present. How time drags for them till God remove them to their joy at last. Conrad de Palazzo, the good Gerard, and Guido de Castel, who is better named in the fashion of the French, the honest Lombard. Say then that since the Church has sought to be two governments at once, she sinks in muck, befouling both her power and ministry. O Marco mine, I said you reason well, and now I know why Levi's son alone could not inherit wealth in Israel. But who is this Gerard, in whom you say the past survives untarnished, to reprove the savage breed of this degenerate day? Your question seeks to test me, said Lombardo, or else to trick me. How can you speak Tuscan and still seem to know nothing of Gerardo? Just what his surname is, I do not know, unless he might be known as Gaia's father, Godspeed. This is as far as I may go. See there across the smoke, like dawn's first rays, the lights swell like a glory and a guide. The angel of this place gives forth that blaze, and it is not fit he see me. Thus he spoke, and said no more, but turned back through the smoke. Canto 17. Reader, if you have ever been closed in by mountain mist that left you with no eyes to see with, save as moles do through the skin, think how those dense, damp vapors thinned away slow, bit by bit, till through them the sun's ball was once more dimly visible. Thus you may, and without strain, imagine from your own recalled experience how I came again to see the sun, which now was almost down. Thus, matching steps with my true guide, once more I passed beyond the cloud into those rays which lay already dead on the low shore. O fantasy, which can entrance us so, that we at times stand and are not aware, though in our ears 1,000 trumpets blow. What moves you, since our senses lie dead then? A light that forms in heaven, of itself or of his will, who sends its rays to men. A vision grew within me of the wrong she did, who for her cruelty was changed into that bird which most delights in song. And my imagination was so shut into itself that what I saw revealed could never have come to me from without. Next, down like rain a figure crucified fell into my high fantasy, his face fierce and contemptuous even as he died. Near by him, great Ahasuerus stood, Esther, his wife, and the just Mordecai, whose word and deed were always one and good. And as soap bubbles rise in air and seem full-bodied things, then rupture of themselves when the film about them breaks, just so that dream vanished. And through my vision rose an image in which a maid cried, "O queen, queen no more, your very being cancelled by your rage. All not to lose Lavinia. Ah, mother, now have you truly lost her. I am she, and mourn your death before I mourn another." When strong light beats against a man's closed eyes, his sleep is broken in him. Yet though broken, gives a last twitch before it wholly dies. My vision fell from me exactly so. The instant a new light beat on my face, a light outshining any that men know. I was looking all about as if to find where I might be, when a new voice that cried, "Here is the ascent," drove all else from my mind, and kindled in my spirit such a fire to see who spoke, as cannot ever rest till it stand face to face with its desire. But as in looking at the sun, whose rays keep his form hidden from our stricken eyes, so I lacked power to look into that blaze. A spirit of heaven guides us toward the height. He shows us the ascent before we ask, and hides himself in his own holy light. He does for us what men in the world's uses do only for themselves. For who sees need and waits a plea already half refuses. To such sweet bidding let our feet reply, by striving as they may before nightfall, for then they may not till daylight the sky. So spoke my God, and he and I as one moved toward the ascent. And soon as I had mounted the first step, cut into that ramp of stone, I felt what seemed to be a great wing my face fan my face, and heard, "Blessed are the peacemakers, who feel no evil wrath toward any man." The last rays, after which night rules the air, were now so far above us that already the stars began to shine through, here and there. "O strength, why do you melt away?" I said, several times over to myself, for now it seemed my legs were turning into lead. We had come to where the stair ascends no more, and we were stuck fast on the topmost step, like a vessel half drawn up upon the shore. I waited with my head cocked to one side for any sound that might reveal the nature of the new ledge. Then turning to my guide, I said, "Dear father, what impurity is washed in pain here? Though our feet must stay, I beg you not to stay your speech." And he, "That love of good which in the life before lay idle in the soul, is paid for now. Here sloth strains at the once neglected oar. But that you may clearly know the way, I give your entire attention to my words. Thus shall you gather good fruit from delay. Neither Creator nor his creatures move, as you well know he said, but in the action of animal or of mind-directed love. Natural love may never fall to error, the other may, by striving to bad ends, or by too little, or by too much fervor. While it desires the eternal good and measures its wish for secondary goods and reason, this love cannot give rise to sinful pleasures, but when it turns to evil or shows more or less zeal than it ought for what is good, then the creature turns on its creator. Thus you may understand that love alone is the true seed of every merit in you, and of all acts for which you must atone. Now, inasmuch as love cannot abate its good wish for the self that loves, all things are guarded by their nature from self-hate. And since no being may exist alone and apart from the first being by their nature, all beings lack the power to hate that one. Therefore, if I have parsed the truth of things, that the evil that man loves must be his neighbor's. In mortal clay, such bad love has three springs. Some think they see their own hope to advance, tied to their neighbor's fall, and thus they long to see him cast down from his eminence. Some fear their power, preferment, honor, fame will suffer by another's rise, and thus, irked by his good, desire his ruin and shame. And some, at the least injury, catch fire and are consumed by thoughts of vengeance. Thus their neighbor's harm becomes their chief desire. Such threefold love those just below us here purge from their souls. The other, which seeks good, but without measure, I shall now make clear. All men, though in a vague way, apprehend a good their souls may rest in, and desire it. Each therefore strives to reach his chosen end. If you are moved to seek good or pursue it, but with a lax love, it is on this ledge, after a proper penance, you will rue it. There is another good which bears bad fruit. It is not happiness, nor the true essence of the eternal good, its flower and root. The love that yields too much to this false good is mourned on the three cornices above us. But in what way it may be understood as a tripartite thing, I shall not say, that you may learn yourself upon our way. Canto 18. His explanations at an end, my guide, that lofty scholar, scrutinized my face as if to see if I seemed satisfied. And I, my thirst already sprung anew, said nothing, thinking he may well be tired of all this questioning I put him through. But that true father, sensing both my thirst and that I was too timid to reveal it, encouraged me to speak by speaking first. I, therefore, Master, in the light you shed my sight grows so acute that I see clearly all that your argument implied or said. But dear and gentle Father, please discourse more fully on that love in which you say all good and evil actions have their source. And he focused the keen eyes of your mind on what I say, and you will see made clear the error of the blind who lead the blind. The soul being created prone to love is drawn at once to all that pleases it, as soon as pleasure summons it to move. From that which really is, your apprehension extracts a form which it unfolds within you. That form thereby attracts the mind's attention. Then if the mind so drawn is drawn to it, that summoning force is love, and thus within you, though through pleasure, a new natural bond is knit. Then just as fire yearns upward through the air, being so formed that it aspires by nature to be in its own element up there, so love, which is a spiritual motion, fills the trapped soul, and it can never rest, short of the thing that fills it with devotion. By now you will of course have understood how little of the truth they see who claim that every love is in itself a good. For though love's substance always will appear to be a good, not every impress made, even in finest wax, is good and clear. Your words and my own eager mind reveal exactly what love is, I said, but now there is an even greater doubt I feel. If love springs from outside the soul's own will, it being made to love, what merit is there in loving good or blame in loving ill? And he to me, as far as reason sees, I can reply. The rest you must ask Beatrice. The answer lies within faith's mysteries. Every substantial form distinct from matter and yet united with it in some way has a specific power in it. This latter is not perceivable save as it gives evidence of its workings and effects, as the green foliage tells us a plant lives. Therefore no man can know whence springs the light of his first cognizance, nor of the bent of such innate primordial appetite as springs within you. As within the bee, the instinct to make honey, and such instincts are in themselves not blamable nor worthy. Now that all later wills in this first bent may thrive, the innate counsel of your reason must surely guard the threshold of consent. This is the principle from which accrue your just deserts, according as it reaps and winnows good or evil love in you. Those masters who best reasoned nature's plan discerned this innate liberty, and therefore they left their moral science to guide man. Or put it this way, all love, let us say, that burns in you springs from necessity, but you still have the power to check its sway. These noble powers Beatrice will comprehend as the free will. Keep that term well in mind if she should speak of it when you ascend. It was near midnight. The late risen moon, like a brass bucket, polished bright as fire, thinned out the lesser stars, which seemed to drown. It traveled retrograde across that sign the sun burns when the Romans look between the Sards and the Corsicans to its decline. And he who made Pietola shine above all other Mantuan towns had discharged fully the burden I had laid on him for love, because of which I, being pleased to find such clear and open answers to my questions, was rambling drowsily within my mind. I wakened in an instant to a pack of people running toward us, a great mob that broke around the mountain at my back. As once of old wild hordes ran through the night along Ismenus and Asopus banks. Then Thebes invoked no more than Bacchus's might. In such a frenzy, far as I could see, those who were spurred by good will and high love ran bent like scythes along the cornice toward me. They were upon us soon, for all that rout was running furiously, and out in front 2 spirits streaming tears were calling out. Mary ran to the hills. So one refrained, and the other, Caesar to subdue Ilerda, struck at Marseilles, and then swooped down on Spain. Faster, faster, to be slow in love is to lose time, cried those who came behind. Strive on that grace may bloom again above. O souls in whom the great zeal you now show, no doubt, redeems the negligence and delay that marred your will to do good there below. This man lives truly, and the instant day appears again, he means to climb. Please show him how he may reach the pass the nearer way. So spoke my master, and one running soul, without so much as breaking step, replied, come after us, and you will find the whole. The will to move on with all speed so fills us we cannot stop. We humbly beg your pardon if duty makes us seem discourteous. I was abbot of San Zeno in the reign of the good Emperor Frederick Barbarossa, of whom the Milanese still speak with pain, and another with 1 foot now in the grave will shed tears for that monastery soon, and rue the evil orders he once gave, for he has set his son up as the head, a man deformed in body, worse in mind, and bastard born in its true pastor's stead. He had by then left us so far behind that if he said more, it was lost to me. But I was pleased to keep this much in mind. My aid, on all occasions, the prompt master said, look, for here come 2 who cry aloud, the scourge of sloth that souls may flee it faster. At the tail end, one runner cried, they died before the Jordan saw its heirs, those people for whom the Red Sea's waters stood aside. The other, those who found it too laborious to go the whole way with Anchises' son, cut from their own lives all that was most glorious. Then when those shades had drawn so far ahead that I could not make out a trace of them, A new thought seized upon me, and it bred so many more, so various and so scrambled, that turning round and round inside itself so many ways at once, my reason rambled. I closed my eyes, and all that tangled theme was instantly transformed into a dream.